Ну, я думаю, намного опаснее в том, если, например, брать именно панчера, тот же Моралес. Я не думаю, что в 77, что Топурия будет такой же опасный, как в 70. Как говорится, с Алиэкспресса, да?
AliExpress just detonated a shockwave through the MMA world, boldly claiming that Michael Morales is a far more dangerous striking threat at welterweight than Ilia Topuria, and is adamant that raw, fight-ending power is the line that separates them. In his eyes, Morales isn't just another contender at 170. He's a looming executioner, the kind of finisher who can flip the lights out with one perfectly timed, bone-rattling shot and erase every second of careful planning in an instant. Ali paints him as a man built for chaos, a striker whose punches don't just score points but shut doors. Meanwhile, he casts doubt over how Topuria's dominance in a lower division will truly survive when the cage door locks against naturally bigger, stronger, and harder-hitting welterweights who refuse to be bullied. Size, strength, impact. At 170, those aren't details, they are consequences. For Islam, welterweight isn't a simple step up. It's a different universe with different physics, where speed meets force and force usually wins. And in that universe, he doesn't see Topuria carrying the same terrifying edge if he dares to move up. Not when one clean mistake against someone like Morales could mean waking up under arena lights, wondering what went wrong.
Ну, я думаю, намного опаснее в том, если, например, брать именно панчера, тот же Моралес. Каждое попадание он людей спать отправляет. Если стоять перед ними и пропускать удары, каждый будет опасен. Но я не думаю, что в 77 что Топурия будет такой же опасный, как в 70, потому что там уже размеры другие, что и вес другой, и рост другой, что намного проще бойцам 77 будет драться с Топурией. И я не вижу никаких угроз для себя, если Топурия поднимется в 77. Я уже много раз повторялся, то я только за такого боя, про что мы и говорили. Будет большое шоу, фанатам интересно, и это будет в плане медиа очень большой.
Michael Morales isn't buying the myth, and he makes it crystal clear that he doesn't view Islam Makhachev as some untouchable, invincible force hovering above the division. He refuses to hand him that kind of reverence. In Morales' mind, the aura fades the moment the cage door shuts, and Islam becomes exactly what he is, another man breathing the same air, bleeding the same blood, standing a few feet away with everything to lose. There's no pedestal, no fear, no wide-eyed admiration clouding his vision. He sees a target, not a legend. Morales believes hype is loud outside the arena but silent once fists start flying, and his convinced reputations don't block punches or soften impact. The lightweight king may carry gold and headlines, but inside that octagon, Morales plans to strip it all down to raw reality. He's preparing to meet skill with violence, pressure with pressure, and name recognition with cold intention. To him, the narrative surrounding Islam is just noise designed to intimidate opponents before the first exchange. Morales isn't interested in being intimidated. He's ready to treat Makhachev like any other obstacle in his path. Study him, break him down, and if the opening appears, make him fall like anyone else who dared to stand in front of him.
No la pelea, o sea, no una amenaza, pero tampoco le tengo mucho respeto, que digamos, ¿me entiendes? Él es un deportista igual que yo, él es una persona igual que yo, sangre igual que yo, así que simplemente lo único que quiero es quitarle el título. Él puede tener su legado, su historia, pero eso es de él, no es mío, ¿me entiendes? Lo mío es lo mío, yo he trabajado muy fuerte por lo que yo quiero y pues no le voy a dar ese respeto de que eres el campeón, todos los honores del mundo, no, yo quiero ser campeón, ¿me entiendes? Entonces en mi cabeza está de que pues voy a trabajar muy fuerte para quitar el título a alguien, no me voy a poner a decir o a idolatrar a alguien que pues todo el mundo lo admira.
Islam Makhachev has now shut the door on the speculation, confirming that his highly anticipated clash with Ilia Topuria will not be taking place at the White House event, instantly deflating weeks of rumors and quiet negotiations. He revealed that Topuria already has another opponent locked in, a move that shifts the entire landscape and signals that something else is unfolding behind the scenes. According to Islam, the UFC isn't pushing to make that matchup happen right now, and that single detail speaks volumes. Their timing isn't right, the pieces aren't aligned, and whatever fans were expecting will have to wait. There's a sense that the promotion is carefully positioning its chessboard, choosing when and where to unleash a fight of that magnitude rather than rushing it into the spotlight. Islam's confirmation cuts through the noise, making it clear that despite their hype, the showdown isn't even on the table at this moment. For now, Topuria moves forward with someone else across the cage, and Islam stands firm, watching the division shift while the biggest questions remain unanswered, simmering beneath the surface, building tension for a collision that clearly isn't dead, just delayed.
Ислама, если Илья и Гэджи сразятся в главном событии, ты бы согласился бы со главным поучаствовать?
Ну, так не принципиально для меня драться со главным или в главном. В начале карьеры я дрался в первом поединке турнира. Так что это не такой принципиальный вопрос для меня. Да, думаю, в Белом доме точно не будет, потому что у него уже есть соперники. UFC в этом бое пока не заинтересован. У меня уже есть так потенциальные соперники. 3-4 человека в моем дивизионе в 77 килограмм, которые уже, можно сказать, заслужили драться за пояс. Так что я думаю, ближайший 2026 год маловероятный поединок.
Islam Makhachev was more than ready to step onto the White House card, pushing the UFC behind closed doors and making it known that he expects to be booked soon, not sidelined while the spotlight burns. He viewed that event as a once-in-a-lifetime stage, a rare collision of sport and history where a single performance could etch his name permanently into MMA legend. For him, it wasn't just another fight night, it was an opportunity to stamp authority in a setting that would echo far beyond the cage. Yet as momentum built and anticipation swelled, the reality shifted. Plans stalled, matchups moved, and the dream of that historic appearance slipped just out of reach. Now the tension lingers in the air, because fans are once again left staring at the gap between expectation and reality, denied a showdown between two of the greatest fighters of this generation. The promise of elite versus elite, legacy against legacy, remains suspended, creating frustration and intrigue in equal measure. Supporters who were bracing for fireworks must wait again, wondering when the paths will finally cross and whether the delay only makes the eventual collision even more explosive.
Somebody let's do it. I tell them I will be ready soon. If White House, of course I want to be in White House because it's the maybe one and only we will make the fighting in White House. I want to be in history. Now I'm already make good money, which one enough for my family, and now I have everything before. It's also not coming in my dream, Now I just ready, I training every day, still hungry, still fighting, still want to be champion.
So now the questions grow louder, and fans are left anxiously wondering when Islam Makhachev will finally step back into the cage, when the silence will break and the wait will end. The uncertainty had started to feel deliberate, almost ominous, until Khabib Nurmagomedov stepped in and delivered the clarity everyone was searching for. According to Khabib, the return is already mapped out behind the scenes. Islam is expected to come back after Ramadan, with a targeted fight date hovering around June or July, and preparations for his next matchup quietly moving forward. That timeline instantly shifts the mood from doubt to anticipation. The camp isn't dormant, it's calculating. Plans are forming, names are being discussed, strategies are being sharpened. While the public speculates, the inner circle is already building toward the next statement performance. The pause, it seems, was never inactivity, it was timing. And now, with a summer return looming and momentum rebuilding, the countdown has unofficially begun.
I'm gonna come back around June, July, or May, who knows. After Ramadan he will fight. Now we're working on his next fight. It's like same goal, brother. Same goal. Look. Stay on top.
On the other hand, Islam Makhachev quickly shuts down any attempt to frame a potential clash with Garry as some kind of sequel to the legendary Ireland vs Dagestan rivalry that once electrified the sport. He makes it clear that the fire people remember from years ago was fueled by a completely different level of superstardom, global attention, and genuine bad blood, and he doesn't believe this situation carries that same voltage. In Islam's view, that era was a storm created by icons at the peak of their fame, a collision that shook arenas before the first punch was even thrown. This, he suggests, is something else entirely. He sees fans and pundits trying to force a narrative, stretching parallels that simply don't fit, hoping to recreate lightning in a bottle. But Islam isn't buying it. To him, hype can't be manufactured by comparison alone, and history doesn't repeat itself just because people want it to. He pointedly makes it known that he doesn't place Garry in that same rare category of influence or magnitude, subtly drawing a line between contenders and true global forces. Their message is blunt beneath the calm tone. Not every matchup is destined to become a cultural war, and not every opponent belongs in the same conversation as those who once defined an era.
Назвать бой с Гарри такой второй частью ирландско-дагестанского противостояния.
Как говорится, с Алиэкспресса, да?
Islam Makhachev didn't hear about a supposed showdown with Garry through a call from the UFC or a serious negotiation across the table. He found out the same way everyone else did, through media reports flashing across headlines and social feeds. From his standpoint, that alone says everything. There have been no official discussions, no contracts slid across desks, no quiet strategy meetings confirming that fight is real. To him, it feels more like noise than substance, speculation dressed up as certainty. While the rumors swirl and narratives build momentum online, Islam remains grounded in what's actually been communicated to him, and so far, that communication doesn't include Garry. Instead, his focus is locked on the White House event, a stage he believes still represents the most realistic and meaningful scenario at this point. That's where his attention stays, where the stakes feel tangible, where the opportunity aligns with his ambitions. Until something concrete changes, the chatter about other opponents remains just that, chatter. Behind the scenes, he's watching, waiting, and preparing for the path that truly materializes, not the one created by headlines.
Вот если говорить про будущее, Ислам, сейчас практически все уже западные СМИ пишут информацию о том, что твоим следующим соперником станет Иэн Мачадо Гарри. Можешь подтвердить как-то это? То есть насколько от UFC уже была такая информация?
У меня, честно, вот только то, что в медиа я сам прочел, а так даже никаких конкретных переговоров насчет именно этого соперника у меня не было.
Islam Makhachev fires a cold warning at Garry, telling him he'd be smarter to focus on something other than trying to suddenly level up his wrestling, because this isn't a skill you patch overnight. He makes it brutally clear that a lifetime spent on the mat, years of pressure, sweat, competition, and instinct sharpened since childhood cannot be replicated by a short training stint, no matter how many elite coaches or celebrated specialists are flown into camp. In Islam's eyes, wrestling isn't just technique, it's muscle memory forged through thousands of rounds, a rhythm embedded so deeply it becomes reflex. He's seen this story before, opponents convincing themselves that a few months of drilling can erase a lifetime gap. They brought in experts, changed camps, posted clips of improved takedown defense, yet when the cage door closed, the reality felt very different. Islam believes the grappling divide is not a crack that can be sealed with a quick adjustment but a canyon carved over decades. Experience, timing, control, those aren't accessories you borrow for a fight. And beneath his calm tone sits a clear message. If Garry thinks wrestling can be upgraded like software before they meet, he's walking toward a lesson that others already learned the hard way.
Насколько ты считаешь, в Грузии ему могут помочь там подтянуть борьбу?
В Грузии? Ну, я не знаю, наверное, какие-то навыки он прибавит. Ну, я тоже не 2-3 месяца борьбой занимаюсь, я всю жизнь боролся. Так что я на это не обращаю внимания. Уже на протяжении последних моих, не знаю, сколько боев кто-то кого-то привлекает в лагеря, там зовут там каких-то борцов, там Оливейра какого-то сборника из Ирана привлекал. Эффекта никакого. Так что не зря время не терять.
Javier Mendes breaks down a potential clash between Islam Makhachev and Garry with a measured but revealing tone, acknowledging that Garry's unpredictable striking could spark sudden flashes of danger in open space, especially in the early exchanges where timing and creativity can shift momentum in an instant. He notes that Garry's movement, angles, and willingness to take risks might create tense moments on the feet, forcing Islam to stay sharp and disciplined. But Mendes makes it equally clear that those moments may be brief. In his analysis, the entire dynamic changes the second the fight hits the canvas. Once the action transitions to the ground, he believes Islam begins to systematically take control, turning chaos into structure and forcing Garry into survival mode. Instead of dictating range or tempo, Garry would likely find himself defending positions, protecting his neck, and conserving energy under suffocating pressure. Mendes suggests that what looks competitive while standing could quickly become a test of endurance and composure on the mat. The danger may flicker early, but if the grappling exchanges unfold the way he expects, the balance of control tilts heavily, and the fight becomes less about Garry's offense and more about how long he can withstand Islam's relentless grip.
He does well with Islam on the stand-up because he's rangy, he's tricky, all those. But on the ground, he doesn't. He does okay, but he doesn't survive on the ground. I don't think. I mean, well, okay, he might survive 5 rounds, but he won't get the best of Islam on the ground. That I'm 100% sure about that. On the stand-up, he's pretty tricky. So one punch can change everything on that. One kick, one punch, one knee. So that's a different story. But on the ground, I don't see him dominating. I see him surviving possibly. So yeah, I could see that. And then the takedown defense that he has is decent, but not great enough to stop Islam from taking him down. But again, sometimes we'll go in there and we'll decide that we're gonna do this with Islam, and next thing you know, next round we'll say, okay, take him down now, or next thing you know, next round we'll go stand up, because he's that good. So we're not looking at going in any specific game plan for anybody because he's good everywhere.
MMA Guru also weighs in on a potential clash between Islam Makhachev and Ian Garry, predicting that the fight would likely go the distance with Islam ultimately securing a decision. He admits Garry could create moments of intrigue with sharp striking bursts or even steal a round through activity and timing, briefly shifting momentum and forcing reactions. Garry could make things interesting with some strikes or a strong round, but his power isn't enough to seriously threaten Islam, he explains, suggesting those flashes might grab attention but not dictate the outcome. From his perspective, Islam's composure, control, and grappling threat neutralize prolonged danger and prevent chaos from turning into collapse. Fans are cautioned not to inflate Garry's capabilities beyond reality. He is skilled and capable of creating risk, yet that risk operates within boundaries set by a champion who understands distance, pressure, and positional dominance. Even if Garry finds success in isolated exchanges, the broader structure of the fight still favors Islam maintaining control, adapting to adjustments, and steering the contest toward a measured victory rather than a dramatic upset.
I'm gonna go with Makhachev over Ian Garry by decision, but I think Garry will like cut him open and like take a round off him or something, you know? Here's all I'm asking from Ian Garry. If you like tear Makhachev's ACL or some shit with a stomp, come on, Ian. Lose, but give him something that's gonna make him weak and vulnerable for the next one. He is very hittable though. A lot more than it seems. And he's not as powerful as he seems. Yes or no, chat? The conceptions around Ian Garry's finishing potential is all from the Daniel Rodriguez fight. Head kick rocked him and then finished him off, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, watch out, anything he throws. You know, he can tag you and put you away. But I think fighters need to like start not believing in that anymore.
On the other hand, Charles Oliveira and Max Holloway are locked in and ready to collide for the BMF title, a showdown that promises violence from the first exchange. Oliveira sends a clear message that if the Hawaiian dares to point at him and invite a fight, he won't hesitate to stand right in front of him and trade shot for shot. He insists he doesn't run from battles, he walks toward them. Pressure is his language, danger his comfort zone, and chaos something he actively seeks rather than avoids. In his mindset, fights aren't won by backing up or playing safe, they are conquered by forcing exchanges and breaking opponents mentally before breaking them physically. He plans to stay in Holloway's face, hunt openings, and turn every second into a test of survival. The threat isn't just technical, it's psychological. Oliveira believes constant forward motion and aggressive intent can suffocate even the most durable striker, and is prepared to push the pace until someone cracks. For the BMF crown, neither man intends to retreat, and that commitment to war guarantees a battle where pride, power, and persistence collide without mercy.
Ele me chamar no começo do round, no meio do round, não importa, eu vou estar lá. É como eu acabei de falar, é por isso que eu mato as pessoas do coração, eu não fujo da luta, eu procuro a luta. Eu caço o tempo inteiro. Pra mim não faz diferença nenhuma.
Charles Oliveira firmly believes that beating Max Holloway would instantly thrust him back into true title contention, positioning him right at the front of the line where championship opportunities are decided. He argues that he brings more danger, more finishing power, and more pure excitement to the division than those currently competing for the interim belt, and he isn't afraid to say it out loud. In his view, performances that end fights and capture attention should carry more weight than placeholder titles. He promises a show-stopping display, one that reminds everyone why his name still commands respect and why he remains a constant threat to anyone holding gold. Oliveira is confident that a decisive victory over a fighter of Holloway's caliber would make a powerful statement to the promotion and force the conversation toward him as the next legitimate challenger. He sees momentum building from that win, pressure rising behind the scenes, and his path back to championship glory clearing with one explosive performance that demands recognition and cannot be ignored.
UFC não é um jogo. Você tem que aprender a jogar com ele, senão você vai ficando pra trás. Vamos voltar um pouco. O Topuria tá passando um momento ruim da vida dele ali, e ele pediu um momento de poder ficar, né? O Topuria pra poder ficar fora. Então a gente tem aí dois caras que vão lutar pelo cinturão em janeiro.
Interino.
Né? Interino. E aí, 2 meses pra frente, eu luto pelo BMF. Eu acho que, com todo o respeito do mundo, eu vendo muito mais do que os dois que vão lutar pelo título, tenho muito mais carisma do que os dois que vão lutar pelo título. Então, querendo ou não, eu já entro com o pé com força ali na beirada. Né? O Arman, pra mim, era ele que ia lutar pelo título. O interino ou o linear, um dos dois, na minha mente ali. Porém, eu não sei o que acontece que não colocaram. Então, querendo ou não, eu acho que eu vendo muito mais do que o Arman. Então, se eu vencer, não. Eu vou vencer, vou fazer uma grande luta e eu vou vencer essa luta. E sendo uma grande luta e eu vencendo, eu acho que eu estouro a bolha e eu sou o próximo a disputar o título de novo.
Max Holloway shows major respect toward Charles Oliveira, calling him a truly well-rounded fighter who has evolved into a complete threat in every phase of the game. He points out how Oliveira's striking has sharpened over time, becoming more precise, more calculated, and dangerous enough to hurt opponents on the feet before the fight ever hits the mat. Holloway acknowledges that it's that seamless transition, sharp combinations flowing directly into high-level grappling and lightning-quick submission attempts that makes Oliveira such a constant risk inside the cage. He understands that one clean exchange can suddenly turn into a scramble where positions shift and danger escalates in seconds. In his assessment, it's not just power or technique alone, but the combination of disciplined striking and elite submission awareness that defines Oliveira's threat level. Holloway respects the growth and preparation behind that style, recognizing that facing someone who can damage you standing and finish you on the ground demands sharp defense, smart pacing, and full focus from the opening bell.
He's just a killer, you know. I think so, you know, before everybody knows jiu-jitsu even right now, but his striking came a long way. And if you see most of his finishes, a lot of the time it's not Hail Mary submissions that he's finishing people. He's hurting them on the feet, blocking them, and then getting a submission. So at the end of the day, he's a real mixed martial artist. You know, I saw an interview that he said, you know, the first time we fought, he was jiu-jitsu Oliveira, now he's an MMA Oliveira. I respect that. I agree with that. Come March 7th, though, we get to see, you know, we find out everything.
Max Holloway stays locked in on Charles Oliveira, fully aware that he's facing an opponent dangerous in every phase of the fight and capable of flipping momentum in a single exchange. He understands that respect is necessary, but hesitation is costly, so his focus remains on preparation and awareness rather than fear. At the same time, Holloway is equally committed to executing his own blueprint, pressuring forward, setting a relentless pace, and forcing the action on his terms. He plans to dictate distance, overwhelm exchanges with volume, and keep the intensity high from start to finish. For him, performance matters just as much as victory, and delivering a fight that electrifies the crowd is part of his identity. Holloway believes that control comes through constant activity and confidence, and by staying disciplined to his game plan while reacting smartly to Oliveira's threats, he aims to showcase both dominance and entertainment inside the cage.
Oliveira is Oliveira, man. He's dangerous everywhere. Like I said, striking, dangerous. His jiu-jitsu game, no question about it. I just need to be smart. I need to fight my game plan. I need to go in there, you know, do what I got to do to get my hand raised, and that's what I plan on doing. I plan on going in there, getting in his face. You know, we're on Paramount now. A lot of people are tuning into to these number cards. A lot of viewership is around, so I plan on making new fans come March 7th. I mean, you know, defending the BMF title is awesome, bro. I love it. You know, it's a title. It's a spectacle. Only certain people get to even put their name in this. You know, a lot of people throwing their names in the hat, but not a lot of them are gonna get chosen for it. So at the end of the day, being one of the chosen ones, having the second time to defend this title is amazing, and I just can't wait, man. I just can't wait to show the world what I've been working on, you know, and can't wait to introduce some new fans to the sport. It's going to be a great one.
Arman Tsarukyan leans toward Charles Oliveira taking the win over Max Holloway in the BMF fight, even while acknowledging that Oliveira's style carries unpredictability and danger at every turn. He openly admits there's respect for both competitors, but his preference is clear. He wants Oliveira to come out on top, so the door opens for a rematch that he believes he already earned through his performance the first time around. In his eyes, a split decision from 2 years ago doesn't fully reflect how the fight unfolded, and he feels he was ahead in that contest despite the narrow scoring. That sense of unfinished business still fuels him. Tsarukyan is now chasing a decisive rematch where the outcome leaves no room for debate, aiming to secure a finish and erase any lingering questions about legitimacy. For him, it's about proving that the earlier result wasn't a fluke and demonstrating growth, adjustment, and dominance in a way that settles the rivalry once and for all.